So today we're going to be talking about how to hire an SEO team, and I'm just going to walk you through exactly how I structure my own link building agency, which has 50 people running across hundreds of clients. So I've done a lot of hiring in the SEO space before, and of course, you've probably seen my other videos where I've hired VAs and writers and all that sort of thing. So I'm going to show you exactly what works for me, how to do it, how to save you a lot of time, and how to make sure that if you do hire, you get it right. And on top of that, you hire profitably. So we'll talk about why, how to start, the structure, creating job descriptions, where not to hire, filtering principles, etc. The whole shebang. And I'll just basically teach you everything I know that's worked for me so far. By the way, if you want more videos like this, make sure you subscribe. So let's get straight into it. Why would you hire an SEO team? Well, first thing is that it frees up your time. So if you're writing content for your website and you're just trying to get it off the ground running and making money, I understand that you're probably going to want to do it yourself just because you don't have the upfront revenue coming in to pay for a team. But when you're 60 or 70 or 80, you don't want to be writing blog posts every single day, and you want to be freeing up your time as much as possible, as early as possible, right? So if you can free up 6 to 7 hours per day, that gives you the freedom and the power to be able to invest your time in other ways that grow your business. On top of that, it's pretty easy to hire people online. It's very, very simple. I'm going to show you how to do it today. And there's no real magic to it. It's just a lot of common sense. This is the only way you can really scale. So if you look at any SEO who's doing really incredible things, or who's got a 7, 8, 9-figure business, the only way they can achieve that is by hiring multiple people, hiring across multiple teams, and having a great setup that gives them the freedom and the time and the mental energy to focus on growth, not on maintaining their business. So this is why people hire writers, link builders, VAs, etc. Now let's talk about how to start. When should you hire? Well, the first thing I would say, I've been hiring for the last sort of 5 years. And one thing that I've learned is that really you should only hire when it hurts. So when you have a system, for example, like creating content or building backlinks, or you're an SEO agency and you're trying to hire people, well, for me personally, what works is hiring when it hurts. In fact, I would avoid hypothetical, wouldn't it be nice to recruit for this sort of jobs? So in the past, I've made the mistake of hiring a telemarketer, even though I don't understand how to do telemarketing or what works. And I thought, oh, if I hire someone, they can figure it out. And whatever they do, they'll bring in sales if they're working on that 40 hours a week. Absolutely not. That is a terrible mistake. Why? Because I don't understand the system. So when I go to hire people, I don't understand how to hire them either. Because ideally, you're going to build the system, you've already built it, and that's why you're hiring for it. And then that person that you hire is going to handle and maintain those systems. So for example, if you were an SEO agency selling a service, well, if you already have the system that's working to convert leads into sales, then you just hire someone in sales to handle and maintain that system. Or if you have a blog that you need to produce, say, 5 or 10 blogs per week to keep growing your traffic, and you've already got that system working, it's generating money, well, then you just hire someone to handle, maintain, and improve that system because you've already got the system set up. So that's why you should only hire when it hurts. Some people disagree with me. That's what works for me. Okay, on top of that, you want to make sure this is lean and profitable. What do I mean by that? Well, it's far better to have less people in your team who are more committed. So if you're going to hire a team, just hire one person. You don't need to hire like 20 or 30 different VAs because that's 20 or 30 lots of problems, questions, coaching, mentoring, managing, and everything's just going to compound and become very, very complicated. And when you're hiring or when you're doing anything in your business, one of my key philosophies is, do we really need that? And what I mean by this is, it would be amazing for me as a link building agency to do TikTok, but is that going to grow my business? Probably not. Or sometimes I think, oh, it'd be fantastic to have 5 cold email outreach people to get leads for my agency. But do I need that? Will that move the needle and grow my business? Probably not. Why? Because I only hire when it hurts, and I'm not doing any cold email outreach, and I'm not seeing it work for me. On top of that, I don't need to do more smart things. I just need to scale the things that are already working. So let's talk about the structure of an SEO team. I mean, what I could do here is I could show you a whole fancy hierarchy of different positions and people you could hire, but I want to keep this simple, and I want to make sure that anyone who's watching this can figure out exactly who they need to hire first. So a breakdown of a good SEO team would just be replicating what you already do and spend a lot of time on, and then building that out into roles. So how do you do that? Well, you just do a time audit, and that helps you figure out exactly what to hire. So you basically want to audit your time and how you spend your time in SEO to figure out where all your time is going and what are the highest leverage tasks. Let me give you an example of a typical day of an SEO, right? So there might be posting the blog content on Twitter, doing some blog writing, doing some Harrow outreach to build backlinks, reformatting the blog post, and scrolling through Facebook groups. So you would basically audit your day, figure out, okay, how many hours am I working per day? So 360 divided by 60, that would be 6 hours a day. And then figuring out the impact, right? So if I post on Twitter some content from chipperbirds.com, well, actually, I'm just going to get a few likes, but probably not much traffic. There's no real impact there. And therefore, if I do some blog writing, well, I'm going to get more traffic, more rankings, so that's great. If I do some Harrow outreach, I'll get some more backlinks, more authority and higher rankings, which is awesome. If I reformat some blog posts to tidy them up, well, that's not going to do anything, but it's going to take up a lot of my time. And then if I scroll through Facebook groups about SEO, it's going to be interesting and I might learn one or two things, but actually there's going to be zero impact. So looking at this list, I can organize them in terms of what do I need to eliminate and what do I need to delegate. And so I would want to eliminate these because that gives me an extra 3 hours per day or just over. And I would stop doing these things. And then I know if I do more blogs, well, that means more traffic, more rankings. So I should hire for that. I know that if I do Harrow outreach and it takes 30 minutes a day, well, that means more backlinks, more authority, more rankings if I do that every day. But it is time consuming to do that 7 days a week. So I would hire for that too. And the good thing is I know how long it takes, I know the impact, and therefore I know that I need to hire for that job. Same for blog writing. I know this how much time it takes per day, this is the impact, and this is what I need to do next. And very quickly, you can sift through everything that you need to do and figure out what does your SEO team look like? Because that's going to vary from business to business, from person to person. And that's why you only hire when it hurts. That's how you figure out the breakdown of your team. Because you know where your time is going, what the highest leverage tasks are, aka the impact, and therefore you know who to hire. So that basically covers the structure of your SEO team. And the action item there will be to do a time audit. So let's cross those off the list. Now let's talk about budget and price range for each team member. Based on this, I would just figure out how much money you're already making from your blog and then how much money you can afford to reinvest into your team because you want to keep this lean and profitable like we talked about before. So let's say you're making $38 per day on your website. You could afford to spend roughly, you're going to still be paying for some software and you might want to bank some of that profit as well. But, you could afford to spend at least $20 to $30 per day in your team. Now, you could spend more than that, but it's going to be more risk and that could lead to more problems down the line. And it means there's less job security for the person you hire because you can only afford to invest so much if you're spending more than you're actually making. And that's why I would focus on reverse engineering, how much you're making, then hire based on that. With Harrow outreach, well, that only takes 30 minutes a day. So if you're making $38 per day, well, you would invest $38 per day or less into your team because that's your cash flow. If you spend more than that, you run out of cash flow, and that's when you get into big problems. Now, the cool thing is with Harrow, if you don't want to hire a fancy agency or you don't want to hire some link building ninja, well, you could probably get a VA to do this. It would require more management time, but that's the price you pay. Hire someone who's less organized than you or less well trained. And, you might want to hire a VA for, say, $10, $20 an hour just to handle that outreach for you. So this is the seesaw of hiring, which is if you pay cheaper rates, it's going to be more time, stress, and effort managing that person. If you pay higher rates, well, it's going to be less time managing, training, and coaching that person. For example, if you hire an agency, well, they've already got their systems sorted. They've already hired the right people to do this, and they've already got a system that's working for other clients. So of course you would pay higher rates because you don't need to hire or coach an agency to do work for you. They're just ready to go and they get stuff done for you if you hire the right person. So now that we've talked about how to figure out the breakdown of your team, what their jobs will be, and the price range and budget for each team member, now it's time to figure out the best places to hire people. And I would highly recommend you just go onto Upwork. It's the simplest, fastest, best place to hire. Okay, you could mess around with other websites. You could even try poaching people from your competitors. But if you want the 80-20 of this, and a lot of people watching this won't have much experience with hiring, well, the good thing is if you're, say, looking for a writer, you can just type that into Upwork and you can filter so fast. It's basically like your own database of people that you can hire. And you might be wondering, well, are they any good or not? Well, a lot of these people already have a lot of experience. They've earned a lot of money. They've got a tried, tested amount of job experience. And if they really have a lot of experience, they'll have a badge on their profile that says top rate plus. Now, I don't care if you hire me or not, but I just want to show my profile as an example. So if we scroll through it, typically on someone who's got a lot of experience and done well, they'll have some great reviews from previous contracts with clients. So you know they've got a proven track record of experience. You can see how many jobs they've worked on, how much they've earned previously on jobs on Upwork, if they're associated with any other agencies, and what their agency scores in terms of job success. And basically, if someone's not good at their job, then they won't have a good profile, and you'll see that very quickly. So that's one of the best ways to figure this out. On top of that, if you're hiring, say, a link builder, let's say you're hiring like a Harrow link builder, well, you can just type that into Upwork like this. You can filter down to people with top rated plus or better if you want to hire the best people. And then you can scroll through and see the job success scores for each person on the list. You might even want to filter that down to top rated as well, like this. Let's say, for example, you were looking for a vet to write on your animal website. Well, you can easily find that on Upwork too. And then if you want to filter down by hourly rate, you can do it like that. And you can still get cheaper licensed vets who are very good at their job. As you can see, 100% job success score. I'm sure this person is extremely qualified and very good at what they do. And then it's just a case of filtering and hiring the right people. Now, there's two ways to do this. You could message them directly on the platform on Upwork, or you can just invite them to the job. But either way, it's so easy to narrow down and filter by the best people because you can see the reviews, you can see whether they're top rated plus or top rated, you can see the hourly rate, where they're based, etc. You can just type in the person you're looking for, and you've got access to this whole database. And I wouldn't make it any more complicated than that. And I can tell you now, I've hired from all sorts of places, and Upwork always seems to be the best place to hire. So we've covered the best places to find people now. Another question that I got on some of my YouTube comments was, where can I go to get VAs to set up a few websites? Well, you can go to Upwork and do that very easily, but you do need the system clearly defined before you start doing this, which brings me on to the job setup. All right. So the first thing you want to do when you're hiring for a writer or a link builder or whatever you're trying to hire for in SEO, you want to clearly define the roles, responsibilities, goals, and requirements. How do you figure that out? Well, you basically look at what you're already doing from your time audit that we covered earlier. You would look at each of the jobs you're trying to hire for, and then you would figure out, okay, what 3 to 4 skills does someone need to do this job successfully? And then you just identify the key competencies, skills, and qualifications needed for success in that role. On top of that, you want to have the systems ready to go. So you want SOPs ready to go. So let me give you an example. When we hire for someone who does link building at my agency, what we figure out is what are all the criteria we need to filter up before we build a backlink. So you can see we've got about 50 points in our link building quality guidelines that make sure if we hire anyone, they know exactly what to look for and what to avoid when it comes to building backlinks in the team. And we have other systems and SOPs that clearly define exactly what that person needs to do. That could be a video or it could be a document. But basically, you just need to describe what you're doing. And if you can't do that and you can't put it into a step-by-step format, then generally you don't know what you're doing. So it's really important to make sure you do know what you're doing and that you turn that into an SOP. A really easy way to do this that I've found is I can record a video like this, for example, and then I can ask Harper AI to turn the transcript of the video into an SOP. And there are tons of tools that do this, but basically it breaks it down into logical steps like this: how to set up the spreadsheet, how to add keywords, how to generate content. And for any single video that I create, I can create an SOP very quickly using Harper AI. And Harper AI is a free tool that you can just download and install into your Chrome extension. But the main point is you need the system ready to go. So create SOPs, create a video or document, because this is basically training for your team. And every time you recruit, your new recruit will take that training and they'll take it and improve the system for you along the way. So they might have improvements to make to the SOPs, to the training, updates, new systems, new tools, etc. And they can basically keep that SOP updated for you. That's their responsibility. Now, the cool thing is if you record videos, for example, like if I was trying to hire someone to handle my bulk SEO content tool, then I can ask ChatGPT to create a bulk scorecard or job description like this. It'll give me the title, the objective, responsibilities, and basically when I go to post that job ad on Upwork, I can easily get all the metrics and all the evaluation criteria to make sure I hire the right person. Or I could even paste that into ChatGPT and create a scorecard like this, where I can just grade someone out of 10, 1 to 10 like this, I've got all the responsibilities. You can see it's a very simple prompt that we use, and then we can measure them on qualifications or evaluation metrics, etc. Now, one thing I want to say is ChatGPT has created this. But what's interesting is that typically when I hire people, I don't really look at qualifications. I don't care about that. I care about what are the character traits, what's their attitude like? Because it's not just about skill sets when you hire people, it's about making sure that you find people with the same cultural fit as you. So, for example, in my business, it's all about continuous improvement, making sure we hit results, making sure that we're constantly learning and growing as a team, and giving the best customer service possible along the way. It might be a totally different ethos and value system for you when you hire culturally. So that depends. But for me, qualifications are not really relevant because I care more about, is the person willing to learn? Do they have the right motivation? Do they have the right intentions, etc. And that brings me on to another point. But just before that, let's recap. So basically with job setups, you want to clearly define the responsibilities, goals, and requirements, have the system ready to go in SLPs and videos, and then create a job scorecard. Now, when it comes to hiring a team and managing them, I could go extremely deep into that. I could talk for hours on that. And it's something you spend a lifetime learning. I talk about this in my mastermind modules. As you have a whole section on hiring people right here, on how to do time audit, systems thinking, where and how to hire, and setting KPIs, managing and coaching your team. But essentially, when it comes to hiring, everything that you've learned today is the 80-20 of it. Now, where would you hire? Like I said, Upwork and agencies. And in fact, you can get agencies and Upwork, so that's an easy place to hire. And the good thing about hiring agencies, I'm very biased because I own one, but I would say it's the only way you can leverage a whole team of resources. So when you hire someone one-to-one, they'll have deficiencies that an agency doesn't, because an agency has a team of 30 or 40 or 50 people that basically gives you all the skills in one package. On top of that, they're much more organized and you don't need to coach or mentor them, which saves you a lot of time and mental energy. Where would you not hire? I'll be 100% transparent with this. I used to use a lot of recruiters. I don't anymore. And I think they have the best intentions and they definitely work in some situations. But what works for me personally is to recruit people myself. Why is that? Because it's all about culture. Okay, when you hire people, like I said, it doesn't matter what skills they have. It matters about cultural fit. So does that person have the willingness to learn? Do they match the values that I have? Are we going to get along well when we work together? Because if someone's outside that externally as a recruiter, it's really hard to find that cultural fit. I've seen it work and it has worked for me in the past, but nowadays I much prefer just to hire and handle the whole recruitment process myself. Typically as well, if you hire from a recruiter, I find they usually drift off after a few months. And by that point, it's too late. You've already paid the recruiter. You're kind of stuck with that person. And if they leave for another job, you're totally screwed. On top of that, when you get a recruiter to hire for you, well, your standards are not their standards. So if you have standards of excellence and mastery, that recruiter that you're using, even though they have the best of intentions and even though they might recruit really well for other people, for me personally, I just have much higher standards, and that's why I handle everything myself. So that's why these days I just prefer to focus on hiring from Upwork and agencies. Just makes everything faster and cheaper, like I said. And when you've got the whole job set up and you've done your time audits, you've figured out exactly who you need, you're pretty much good to go. So that's pretty much it. When you're hiring, obviously you filter based on the job scorecard and you figure out objectively who gets the best score based on that scorecard that you created earlier. The final thing that I want to say is when it comes to managing people, A players get A grades. So if your team is hitting their KPIs and the goals that you set them or they set with you, then you know that person is an A player. If they're not, then typically they just might not be the right person for you or for the job. And that's okay. It's happened to me many times. I've been on the other side where I've been in jobs where I don't hit the KPIs, where I'm not the right cultural fit for the company. And it would be way smarter for both of us for me to move on. And that's fine. On top of that, I would highly recommend weekly one-to-one calls with your team, mentor them, coach them, help them grow. One thing that I absolutely don't tolerate, and I wouldn't recommend you do either, is mediocrity. So your team should be growing, improving. You should invest in them, in their skills. They should always be moving the needle and raising the standard for everything that they do. So if they're just doing enough to get by, well, that's not enough, because the market rewards values. So always raise the bar, always challenge them to become more, and encourage this with your team in a way that shows you actually care for that person. You've got the best intentions. You just want to help them become more and help them progress in their career. Especially if you're a remote company, no drama, no negativity, no bad vibes across your whole team. Because if you tolerate that, then that'll become the standard, and then everything becomes very toxic within the company. I've seen some of my friends fall victim to that, and you don't want it happening within your company. So that's how you manage your team and basically build a very high performing culture of winners who grow the business. Like I say, I could write a whole book on it. I could talk about it all day, but that's basically what you need to know when it comes to hiring an SEO team. If you want all of these notes, I'll leave them in my free course. And this free course, this ChatGPT SEO course, pretty much has everything you need to know about SEO. It's pretty crazy how big this is becoming. And honestly, I don't know how long it's going to be free for because there's just so much value packed into that course. On top of that, I saw a few people who weren't sure how to get access to some of the templates in the course. So if you want access to the foreign SEO content tool that I created yesterday, you can just click on the link on the template link right there. You make a copy and it has everything you need within the sheet. And then you just make sure you have GPT Sheets installed. Same for the bulk content generator. Just click the template like that, make a copy, and you literally have everything you need to know. Just as easy as that. So thanks so much for watching. If you want more videos like this, make sure you subscribe. And if you have any other videos that you want me to create, I'm happy to do it. I created this video because Jake, shout out to Jake, asked me this question about hiring a team, and Ellie also messaged me about it. So I'm sure this is going to help a lot of people. If you're struggling to hire, or if you want more videos like this, just let me know and I'll look into it. Thank you.